Hello, everyone. This is Mary Kay Castillo, and you are listening to the Dark Room podcast. So, I just wanted to talk about what I have learned so far in this class, and the specific learning module that I decided to choose was learning module number 3. I thought it was the most interesting, and I think I learned the most from this module. And a lot of it was quite refreshing to learn again, especially with assignment number 6. So essentially, assignment 6 was, it felt like I was conducting an investigation, and it reminded me of an assignment we did in high school. I learned the tape method in high school, but I had to use tape to lift up some fingerprints. And I also like that I learned the basic timeline that forensic science has evolved or become. It's crazy to see how far we have evolved in forensic science, because back then people couldn't figure out anything, and literally people would get away with murder. And it's scary to think about all the victims that did not get their justice due to the lack of technology and resources. But luckily now, with our new technology that continues to evolve, we are able to figure things out on our own. And yeah, we get to figure out a bunch of cases, and maybe possibly we'll be able to figure out cold cases. The case that I decided to talk about and that correlates with this learning module is a serial killer, Ludwig Tesno. Ludwig Tesno is a German serial killer who murdered 4 kids that only people know of, so we don't really know how many he truly killed. He probably got away with some. But the reason why I wanted to choose this person was because the attacks happened between the years 1898 and 1901. So there wasn't much technology, and I believe at the time people weren't able to compare human blood and animal blood, which is important to the story. So during this time, this man had kidnapped 2 girls named Hannah Lore and Elsie Langomir. Sorry if I don't pronounce these names correctly. They are in German. They both attended to the same school and went missing out of nowhere. This was a big shock since it was a small town and everyone knew everyone. And the reason why the parents even noticed was because they never came back during their lunchtime like how they normally would. And this caught me by surprise, because parents are so nonchalant, especially during this time era. And I don't know, I thought it was weird that the parents even took action, but they thought it was out of the ordinary for the 2 girls to not come for lunch. Both mothers went to the school and had asked where their daughters were, and only to find out that their daughters never even went to school. The mothers then contacted their husbands, and their husbands made an announcement to the village. They lived in a village, and their daughters, they basically made an announcement for their daughters to the village and had to explain that their daughters are currently missing. It took them 3 hours to scout the whole village, and then there was no luck, so they decided to expand their search radius. And sadly, after a few hours, I believe, a volunteer did find one of the girls with no clothes. Their bodies were dismembered. The police got involved and started an investigation and questioned everyone until someone mentioned that they might have seen Ludwig Tesno walking around the woods. So the police basically go after him and interrogate him and see his clothes that have weird stains. These stains were dark and red with brown. And he basically said that he is innocent since he worked as a carpenter and that it was wood dye. And the sadder part was they even found a button in the crime scene, and they clearly saw that it matched his shirt that he was wearing. But he simply said that he had lost a button weeks ago, and they believed him. I don't know how he got away that time, but he did. And but just by stating that sentence, and he was released from custody, and they never questioned him again about that situation. So fast forward to 1901. Okay, so the earlier murders happened in, I don't know if I mentioned it. It happened in 1998. So this is 3 years later. So the same thing had happened with two boys named Herman and Peter Stubb. They were both 8 years old and a 6-year-old. So the same thing exactly had happened in the same village. Both of the boys were kidnapped, just like the other girls. And the parents also realized that their kids were missing because they never returned for dinner. And their father took action right away and made an announcement to the village, and police began to search the village. And the next day, the boys were both found not too far from their home. They were killed by a large stone and were also dismembered, just like the other two girls. Peter's skull had been crushed, and his spine was also really broken, and his heart was extracted. And another weird part is that the older brother's heart was never found, so I don't know what he did with the heart. And once again, a neighbor saw this carpenter, and that he was with the two boys. And then Ludwig Tesno was arrested, and he still was claiming his innocence, which is crazy. He said that the stains were from his work and they were not blood. And then the police decided to actually search his home, and they saw a lot of clothes that looked like they were washed, but the dark stains were still prominent enough to see. But he had, I believe, a shirt and some boots that were hidden under a sink, and the boots were also washed, which was suspicious. And then he just said that they were all stained with wood dye, which would explain every single piece of clothing in his closet. And another crazy thing that this man did was a local farmer had seen someone running down his farm, and he saw that 7 of his sheep were killed, and they were dismembered as well. So this man literally had issues, and police realized that some of their specific body parts were just dismembered and similar to the other girls. But he got away with it once again. But luckily, during that time, after the girls' murders, there was a German biologist named Paul Uhlenhuth. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but he was able to develop a method that would allow him to determine human blood and animal blood, and it is called the Precipitin test. So he contacted many people to prove that Ludwig Tesno was lying, and they asked for some of his clothing and the boots that he had, and they found the stains from some overalls and some clothes, and determined that they were human blood and some blood from sheep, and that's how he got convicted. But yeah, this reminded me of the assignment that we did with the t-shirt, and now we could know what is blood, and we use every single microfiber and liquid that is on a shirt, or for example, like his situation, boots, and it's crazy. And I quickly want to mention the Idaho murders that happened last year. This was very scary because this serial killer was trying to mimic Ted Bundy and went for some college girls. But now people are saying that the girls that were in the dorm are possibly involved, but that's just speculation right now. And it's just so crazy how he got caught. Just like the previous serial killer that I mentioned. His DNA was found on a knife and it was left at the crime scene. And they also found some DNA in the trash, but I don't know. They don't explain what DNA they found or where they found it. But yeah, these two events remind me a lot of our assignments that we have been doing, and it's crazy to see how far we have come in forensic science, and our technology just keeps evolving. But okay, I'm just gonna wrap up this podcast because I did it a little longer than I should have, and I just hope you guys enjoyed my podcast, and I'll see you next time.